Well, I should say it this way. The significance of UFOs is multiple parts, but number one, it's not what you think it is. It's not coming from other planets. The evidence doesn't suggest that.
Interdimensional.
Yes.
It's starting to look like the government is going to actually release some information in regards to this UFO alien phenomenon, and they may actually admit some sort of truth that we all know is that there is a spiritual connection to these things, as we're seeing a lot of these people in government starting to suggest that these are actually interdimensional beings, meaning that they did not just evolve and build spaceships on other planets, but they are connected to some other higher spiritual dimension coming in and out of our reality on a regular basis. We'll look at that and what the Bible has to say about that phenomenon towards the end of this video, and we'll start this all off with what Donald Trump just had to say about the UFO files.
Mr. President, I have two questions for you. First, on the topic of space, do you have an update on the UFO files and when we're going to be seeing those?
Well, I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future. For some reason, and I guess it's just a reason that's been in the minds of people for a long time, that is such, they want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have, and I think some of it's going to be very interesting to people. I've interviewed people, my first term primarily, but I interviewed some pilots, very solid people, and they said they saw things that you wouldn't believe, so you're going to be reading about it.
It's been really interesting to see different government officials coming out and talking about this phenomenon and speaking of it as if it has some sort of higher spiritual connection, such as retired Admiral Timothy Gallaudet, who just said that this phenomenon is connected to some sort of higher order.
First and foremost, they're real. We're being visited by some type of higher order intelligence that we don't understand, and we don't even know their intentions. And it's happening often, frequently, and in our airspace, water space. So that should be a cause of concern for our government. And we know the government knows and is not acknowledging that full new nature of reality. And that's probably my biggest point here, is that us being not alone in the universe is probably the story of the century or the millennia. And really, like Galileo, when he changed the entire thought of the Western world, we're at the same inflection point now in our understanding of the universe. It's a new nature of reality. And at least for America, the American people have a right to know that. And the government does know that, and they're not disclosing it.
Representative Anna Paulina Luna has been leaning in this direction quite a lot, posting on X recently to read the Book of Enoch, saying on Joe Rogan these things could potentially be interdimensional beings.
I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have.
Energy things? What do you mean?
Well, they call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. And that's not something that I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff that we've seen. That's based on information that we've been told. And then also, too, I think that there's this historical aspect of, this gets into the deeper theories and concepts of religion, and I think the history that we currently know.
And she said it again just the other day, but first here is her mentioning it last year, talking about the difference between extraterrestrials and interdimensional beings.
Is this stuff that we just as humans might not be able to understand if it's interdimensional?
I think that we can understand it. I think that it's just, it's an approach, right? I mean, remember, we just now for the first time in history really had Congress have whistleblowers come forward credible that we're telling the entire world that there is something other than human life forms. Grush said that those were interdimensional beings. He refused to use extraterrestrial and alien. I think that's important.
Here she is just the other day being asked point blank if she believes these things are aliens, and she says she doesn't, which is very good and important for us all to learn. And we'll look at what the Bible has to say at the end of this video about how there are evil spiritual forces that manifest into our physical reality, and that's going to be happening more and more as we move into the fulfillment of end times Bible prophecies.
I think you've said in the past that you've seen yourself evidence of interdimensional beings. What's that, aliens or?
So the interdimensional beings is what our witnesses will call these things. I have seen evidence in a skiff that leads me to believe there are things we cannot explain, and I have observed things that are of non-human origin and creation. That's my opinion. Again, but there has been a declassification order from the president, and you will see as soon as that stuff comes up.
Right. So do you think that the American public's going to be super surprised when this comes out, or is it going to be a bit of a nothing burger?
Well, I don't think it'll be a nothing burger, but, you know, we're not going to tell the American people what to make of it. But I think, you know, when, again, you saw my last hearing that I did with the task force where there was some footage that was entered into the archive, and it's pretty shocking for people. I don't know much tech that can deflect a Hellfire missile. I don't know about you. But, you know, I think
so. What do you think?
Footage that you'll see.
So what do you know, if you had to just make a decision now about whether there really were, I guess, aliens moving among us with their strange machines that have all sorts of powers, do you think that's plausible?
I don't call them aliens, and I don't know what these things are that they're using, right? But I think that there's stuff that we have witnessed as members of Congress, been briefed on, that we cannot explain. And I will leave it at that, because that's going to be coming out soon. And I think that the American people will have many of their questions answered. But, you know, there's stuff declassified years ago out of the Pentagon. Multiple videos, Tic Tacs. I think Tucker Carlson family actually had shown one of the videos. It looked like a pyramid that was flying around. And, you know, people see it, they're like, yep, we knew it, and then they move on. So I don't think that, you know, the Earth is going to stop moving. But I think that for a lot of people that are paying attention, it's just confirmation of kind of something that we already suspected.
Before we look at 2 more videos talking about these things being interdimensional and even demonic forces at work within our government, which is for sure probably connected to these things, here's Tim Burchette mentioning how these things are going to disrupt everything when they reveal the truth to us, and that there's some pretty incredible photos that he has seen that he believes we have the right to see too.
We've been briefed before that, you know, of locations of where some of this stuff is. A member of Congress, a close friend of mine, you know, and I've read these books, how somebody will approach you and stuff. And we were in the tunnel, and just so happened to, there's no coincidences. And this guy said to me, he said, Tim, he said, why do you want to do this? Don't you know this is going to disrupt everything?
America's just ready. I think they would they'd be alarmed about what it is, and I think mostly they'd be alarmed at why the government won't allow it out. Yeah. And what's at the base of it, and you know, all the theories aside, whether you think it's extraterrestrial, if it's something from this earth, you know, if it's the Russians or the Chinese or the Americans, which I don't think it is, and then maybe allow some of the pilots to talk and tell exactly what they've seen. And the last briefing I had, some pretty incredible photos, and I think that you should have the right to see them.
It's pretty amazing to see that even people like Tom DeLonge, who I don't believe is a Christian, is starting to connect the dots that this phenomenon is not some sort of physical thing from entities from another planet, but some sort of spiritual thing, which is why they're using the language of extra-dimensionals.
Well, I should say it this way. The significance of UFOs is multiple parts, but number one, it's not what you think it is. It's not coming from other planets. The evidence doesn't suggest that.
Interdimensional.
Yes. And the reason is because time is parallel. It's not linear. Or it's not like we start here and go forward in time. Time is side by side, which means everything in the past and the future is existing in this moment, but within different frequencies. So a civilization that's at the end of their technological cycle could build a submarine that changes its voltage and materializes in that same location, just into our timeline. And then it's crazy.
Catherine Austin Fitts mentioned on Danny Jones' podcast that there are satanic interdimensional forces at work in the governments around the world. And I think these forces are connected, and maybe why we haven't even got disclosure yet, because the time is not ready for them to be fully revealed.
I think you have intergenerational pools of capital, and right now they are over influenced by occult. So I think you have interdimensional intelligence, which is operating demonic intelligence.
Interdimensional demonic intelligence.
Yeah. Yep. So I think this thing about good and evil is real.
The Bible gives us understanding into everything happening in the world, especially within the spiritual aspect. I'm going to quickly go through this. I have a lot of videos on my channel under the Aliens Are Fallen Entities playlist. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this is important and it's true. The Bible gives us framework to tell us that there are evil spiritual beings that can deceive humanity, appear in different forms, interact with the physical world, and produce signs and wonders to lead people away from God, which I believe is always what is happening when people start to think that there are ETs from other planets who are better and smarter than humanity in every way, it appears. That would seem like a pretty massive thing to be left out of the Bible for God to not tell us, which is why most of the people who do believe that don't believe that the God of the Bible exists. But it is mentioned all throughout the Bible, most clearly in Ephesians 6:12 of the principalities and powers and spiritual hosts of wickedness at work in the heavenly realms. We know the fallen entities who were deceiving humanity in the book of Genesis, creating giants. Satan transforms himself into an angel of light. False Christs and false prophets will perform signs and wonders. The Antichrist will have all power, signs, and lying wonders when he comes. And in Revelation, we're told that the demons that come out of the mouth of the dragon and of the beast, that they go out and they perform signs and wonders to deceive and lead astray the kings of the earth. Satan and the evil forces and entities connected to him are going to be increasing even more as we head to the fulfillment of the end times Bible prophecies that God has warned us about. Most importantly, though, is who protects us and who guides us if we've given our lives to Jesus Christ, and it is him who has power over all of these forces. Therefore, God also has highly exalted him and given him the name which is above every name, that at the name of Jesus every knee should bow, of those in heaven, and of those on earth, and of those under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. Jesus is Lord, he is King, he is highly exalted above all of these evil forces. Very soon, Jesus Christ is going to destroy Satan and all of these evil forces that are trying to lead people away from the truth of God, because Jesus is exalted above them all. Even his name alone is above every name and has power to destroy all evil forces. If you don't know Jesus, put your trust in him. He is the way, the truth, and the life. He loves you and wants a relationship with you. Start talking to him, start praying to him. He loves you, he wants to save you, and you definitely want to be saved by him.